a whole form for people buying certain brands of tequila that, they're already been purchased from a retailer that now an individual owns.
Yeah, I was in the wine industry working for a distributor for 14 years, and toward the end I was going into, mom and pop liquor stores, and they would actually tell me, like, with certain bourbons, they just wouldn't sell to certain people because they knew they were just buying them to just resell them somewhere. And so I imagine the market for tequila is the same way, and I know that there's a beer one as well. So yeah, there's that resale market. It can be very nuts.
Yeah, and that's why a lot of these retailers are actually putting caps on the repo where you can only buy maybe 2 per person, and then you have to use someone else's name to get the next 2. So you're having to use multiple different names to get what you are looking for. But that's they get around. They use everyone's name, the whole family's name to get more. Yeah.
Oh yeah, they're just in the car. They can't come in. Oh no, they're also in the car. They can't come in. Yeah, all of a sudden you got a case on your hands.
I even tried. I was picking up some bottles from Old Town, which is a retailer we sell to with the repo, and he wouldn't even let me buy more than 2 bottles. And he just said sorry, and he knew who I was too, but he still wouldn't let me buy more than 2. That was the cap. I had met the cap, and that was it.
Good for that guy.
He wanted to make sure that all of his customers that wanted it could have it, so that someone's kind of coming in buying 3 or 4 cases of it. So, but it is definitely delicious, and I have been telling people that on Instagram that say I wish I would have bought more. I said next time, instead of buying a bottle, just buy a case, and then this way you're set until the next release.
Right.
A bottle goes really quick.
I imagine. So I heard that you had a marketing background, and when it comes to creating a brand, the decision for what the bottle kind of looks like, the label, the name, all matter. And I heard that the reason you picked Yeyo because I think you guys were picking either 3 letters or 4 letters, and you wanted something that no one else was really having, or it wasn't anything derogatory in any other language. So explain to us how you ended up on Yeyo, and then also everybody I've talked to about the name Yeyo, they obviously think cocaine's in it, and I know it's not, but has that come up as well when naming it Yeyo?
Yeah, no, great question. So yes, through the research, a lot of these brands out there, vodka, bourbon, a lot of the names we had, they're already taken in spirits category for trademarks. So we obviously can't use any of those if they're in the spirits category, even though they made like a vodka or a rum. So a lot of these good names are already taken. So we got to a point in the process where we needed to think outside the box of not a common name that is used and that can be, like you just said, used in different countries that, let's just say people, or other countries can say, and it can, they don't have a hard time pronouncing it. And then we were thinking too, during this process, I had been just taking a class at the Intel University for chip naming for pseudonames, like internal names we were doing for chipsets and memory and things like that. And they were talking about I think at the time Intel was selling in 73 countries or something. So it had to think of, different colors, different names, and it was very, very hard if you're trying to facilitate that many countries and what that meaning can mean in that and in those countries. So basically we started going down the list. We didn't want to go past 4 letters, and we didn't want to go past or under 3. So basically we started with A and then went down the alphabet, and we landed on Yeyo because during my trips in Mexico, I actually met a friend down there named Yeyo, and we're still friends today. And his name is spelled the same way, but in there they say Yeyo Jeyo, so the Y's are a J. And then we also learned that Yeyo, which Jeyo in Mexico, is actually a common name for Sergio, which is the master distiller, and which is also Sergio Blanco, which is the fourth generation, which is the first generation I met. So their common nickname when they were growing up was Yeyo, and so it was like perfect. Yeyo means also Sergio in Spanish as a nickname, and they both had been called that, growing up, Yeyo, and he said this is a good name. So it is something easy to write down, easy to type, easy to remember. It's fun to say when you're ordering it, and it kind of met all those kind of parameters that we were looking for in a name. And that's kind of the short story of it. And there wasn't a trademark on it, so we got a trademark now in Mexico, in China, and in the U.S. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
So obviously no cocaine relation whatsoever.
No, and I would say probably 5%, we get that question out of the different retailers or distributors, and it's been a few people that have been turned off on it, but I'd say it's probably, right around probably 5%. And we just tell them, that, Yeyo also means like nice, cool, like you could say your car is for a Yeyo, like not here, but in Mexico. And so it's a lot more common, outside the U.S. We have a lot of people that follow Yeyo on Instagram, and their name is Yeyo. Like that's how their name is spelled, and that's what's on the driver's license is Yeyo. And so it's a lot more common outside the U.S.
Very nice. Now, how did you guys land on the bottle? Because the bottle shape is very cool, and then the Blanco is with the frosted glass. How did you guys decide on that bottle shape?
So we had about 10 bottles we evaluated, and we did, I basically just did transparent printing, and then I basically made up a bunch of different labels and tried different bottles of what it would look like with just, using like, what's it called, like rubber cement glue, and then putting that on the transparent label that I printed off. And then I would put that on the bottle just to kind of see what a label could look like on that particular bottle. And then after we kind of narrowed it down to like say 3 bottles, we asked bartenders, male and female, how it felt to pour, how it looked on the back bar, was it easy to grab, turn, move around. And then we were looking at, what are other brands using? At the time, no one had used that bottle. It's called the Long Island bottle, and it was brand new. So we were pretty much the first people, or the first company to kind of order it because it just came out, from Savor, which is our glass company. And, so it kind of met all those marks. It gave it good real estate on the shelf, and bartenders could, use it, and, it was a good fit. So, but we did have many bottles before that, and they just didn't meet the tests that we were going through with the different bottles.
It's awesome you guys actually asked the bartenders and the barbacks to test them out, because like you said, if you're going to be in a bar or a restaurant, you got to make sure that it's easy for people to grab, people to use, because if bartenders can use it regularly, then normal people at their homes can use it regularly as well.
Exactly. And if they don't like using your bottle, that's not a good thing, because then they won't want to pour it.
Right.
So that was, so that we definitely got their input on it. And that was, there was one that was second close, like a second, place that we were going to pull the trigger with, and we ended up not doing it. And I'm glad we didn't, but it was pretty close. But, a lot of the designs and the label, the logo, everything a lot of it was by feedback from like a circle of people we were using to get honest feedback of what they liked and disliked, instead of just having like a few people decide. We wanted to quantify the information and try to listen to what they were saying instead of just making internal decisions around the packaging. We did a lot of social posts too, and asking people what they like, A or B. We still do this to this day on seals. Basically boil it down to 2 examples, and we ask people left or the right, and then they vote. And I would say we've gone with their, the one that's overwhelmingly, like, let's just say there's 76% on one version versus the other one. We'll obviously go with the one that's the majority, even though it may upset, 20 something percent of the people. 76% indicated that they like that design and look better. And we did the same thing with the bottle and the label and the logo. Everything was gone to them, even down to the case box. So it was all by kind of committee, like a committee's social committee.
There you go. I mean, it takes a village, and obviously you want to know that your customers are going to be happy with it as well.
Exactly. Yep.
Now, I had heard in another interview that you guys were working on a mezcal, and obviously right now you guys have the Blanco out, the Reposado. What does the future hold for Yeyo Tequila?
I would love to do mezcal. It's just right now, it's a little difficult just because it's in a different region. You have a different government control that regulates it. So I would say we're on hold for mezcal, probably like a 2025 release. But we are introducing. So we have the Repo coming out in Q1 of 2024. We have a high proof coming out in Q2 of next year. So that's completely new, a SKU for us. It's basically our Blanco in a clear bottle, and it is still at 96 proof instead of 80 proof, which we have right now. So I'm going to be trying our two different variations this week when I'm at the distillery. One is going to have it's going to be fermented with fibers. Another one's going to not have fermented with fibers. And then depending on that, that's the likely the path will go. So that'll be a Q2 release, which is big. High proof is becoming a very popular product now, and we've already got commitments for 8,000 bottles of the high proof. So and no one's even tried it because we haven't even made it yet. But because we have all these distributors that sell the Blanco well, and now they've sold the Repo well, they're ready to buy anything that we've created because they know they trust us. So that's why it's not the high proof we're making is because we have demand from the retailers. So the second we make it, it goes out, just like the Reposado. I mean, all of those bottles will go out within 1 week. All those pallets, we do with 28 pallets, moving to 28, or a handful of different places all within that week period when it drops. And the same thing with the high proof. It will literally come in and it will go out to probably like at least 10 markets immediately. And then we have potentially a Hoven we're working on right now. It'll come out Q3. It's an agave vice Hoven, which is something very unique. Never really seen anyone do something like that. And then we have a Day of the Dead collector's edition Reposado that is coming out in Q4. I'd say like beginning of September, and that's aged in 4 rows, basically bourbon barrels. So, yeah. So yeah, we're looking for that. That one's going to be like really cool design inside and the outside. It'll have a custom box, and it'll be collector's edition. We'll probably only do like 3,000 to 5,000 of those bottles, and we're already starting to take orders from the retailers right now, even though we just started the process of doing it maybe a few weeks ago.
Wow. I'm going to have to figure out who your retailer out here in Texas is and put my order in.
It's going to be, I'd say Specs will probably buy, Specs bought 2 barrels, for the Repo this coming year. And then Liquor King bought, I think they bought 2 barrels too for 2024, and they'll be buying the high proof, and they'll buy, I know they'll buy the Hoven. I'm sure they'll buy the Day of the Dead too.
Of course.
So, yeah, they've been great partners out there too. And then we actually have, in Q1, by the end of Q1, we have around 300 more locations that Yeyo will be in Texas, from, Dallas to Austin to San Antonio. We're working on that game plan right now, actually. So Texas, we're about to get a lot more accounts than we have presently today.
That's awesome. You guys are killing it, and I love it.
Yeah, it's super exciting. And then we have another 100 restaurants that we're getting to the east we're trying to lock that in